Hello and welcome to shelter 142 in Switzerland. How to calculate the components of an off-grid photovoltaic system. This is part 5 of the series, how to connect the components or about the wiring. And again, this is our system. Consists of a pump, a battery, a charge controller and a solar panel. All those components have been considered and calculated in separate videos. You might want to go back and watch these videos. You have not done so yet. This video is about the wiring, and in general the wiring must be able to handle the currents that occur in the system. And just to remind you, these are the currents that we have calculated previously between pump and charge controller, 2.9 amp, between battery and charge controller, 2.9 amp, and between charge controller and solar panel and battery 2.5 amp each. Now the wires themselves must be able to handle the currents, and the smaller the diameter of a wire, the more heat is generated dependent on the current. So the more current and the smaller the diameter of the wire, the more heat is generated and the more voltage drop will occur. And we want to minimize that, and for 3 amp current I typically choose cross-sectional area of the wires of 2.5 square millimeters. Secondly, don't forget fuses. You want to protect the components of your system. You want to protect your pump from too much current, and you want to protect the charge controller from too much current that could flow from the battery toward the charge controller. And given that we have not more than 3 amp of current in any place in this system, I would suggest to use 5 amp fuses between battery and charge controller and between charge controller and pump. Now, it's important to install the fuses on the plus wire, which is typically the red one. That's what it should look like. 5 amp fuses between charge controller, pump and battery and charge controller, and everything is connected with 2.5 square millimeter wires. Now, connection should follow a sequence, and this is the sequence that I usually follow. First, I connect battery to the charge controller. Second, I connect the photovoltaic panel, and only in the end, I connect the load, or in this case, the pump. I do this unless it is stated otherwise in the manual of the controller. And now this brings us to the end of the series. This is the final overview of the system. 20 amp hour battery, more than 3 amp at 12 volt charge controller, at least a 30 watt solar panel, and a load, and in our case the load draws 1 amp hour. Everything connected with 2.5 square millimeter wires. Between pump and charge controller and between battery and charge controller we have each a 5 amp fuse. And in case you want to rehearse the whole series, just click on any of the links here. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.